This has worked out really very well. I'm really pleased that we have this technology. It makes it a lot easier for everybody, and didn't have to travel, and yet you're getting all this great information from some of our people in the district who have that information to share. So we really appreciate that. Tonight we'll be hearing from past District Governor Bob Chadwick, who's going to share about risk management, and then Tara Welch, the president of the Bay City Noon Club, is going to present about Rotary Club Central. You heard some of this from Cindy, AG Cindy at PETS, but Tara has even more for you. So if you do have some goals that you want to put in or work on or figure out, you can she'll be able to help you with that. Tara, remember I told you is going to be shadowing me this coming year, the year that you are president, and then she'll take over as district trainer the following year then for me. So it'll be nice. She'll be giving this old lady a nice break. So that's great. And then we have Kevin Dorland, who's the president of the Cass City Club and is going to repeat again as president again this coming year. So he's with your group also. He has a few words for you, and we'll have a couple of wrap-ups and we'll be done with your training. You'll be graduates. So great. So at this time, DGE Randy, you want to say a couple things before we get started, and you introduce Bob?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks everybody for being here tonight. It's the last one, like Dee said. I don't have a whole lot more to add other than I did send out that letter today via Connie about Author Quest. Mm-hmm. So if you would make sure that you talk to your club on it, your board, and get back to us on whether or not your club wants to participate. The deadline is June 30th, and that would be great. So I think it's a great initiative, and I already heard back from one club in the positive. So thank you for doing that. Also, before the Zoom call, I was on a telephone call with Jeff Leiprant, and Jeff has something he'd like to share with us just about the training.
Well, hey, thanks, Randy. I think you all can appreciate the time and the effort, the energy that goes into PETS training. And I really want to commend Dee in particular and Randy for the job that they've done to pull all this together. Ideally, we all would have liked to have been there in Kalamazoo at PETS going through this together in person. But I think they've really risen to the challenge to conduct training electronically in a very unique and quite effective manner, actually. But what I wanted to share in particular, I saw on Facebook this morning a post from a president-elect down in Southeast Michigan that was reaching out to his district. And here was his comment. I thought it was pretty interesting. He says, "My district has not planned anything virtual to replace PETS." So this particular district canceled even coming to PETS before it even started. They just made the decision that they weren't going to come. He goes on and says, "I am planning my year as president blind. What advice do you have?" So here's a president-elect that really wants to be an effective leader for his club, but feels like he's behind the 8 ball right now today. And here we are, the middle of April. His year will start sooner than later. That time will go by pretty quick. And so he's just reaching out to people to say, I need help here. And so, Dee, thank you for the job that you've done over the years, planning PETS and doing all the training that you've done throughout the course of the year. So just to get our district leaders in a strong position starting July 1. So just thought that this was kind of pertinent at this point in time.
Well, thank you, Jeff. That's really nice. And of course, the teacher in me wants to reach out to that district. I know the one you're talking about, and train them all. So not going to do that though, but yeah. might cause a problem. But that's too bad. And I'm glad you see it that way. Probably the educator in me, it's hard for me to imagine that somebody wouldn't provide the training that is needed. But just as surprising to me is that we have some of our people who are going to be in leadership roles who don't want the training, who make that choice not to not to take the training, and that always bothers me a little bit. Someday when I'm not district trainer anymore, I'm going to write an article for the Dispatch of all the things I learned being district trainer. So anyway, but thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. So.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Now on to Bob. Dee did a great job of introducing Bob. I heard his risk management talk last year at the district conference, and I want to make sure that Bob had an opportunity this year to present for us. So I will turn it over to you, Bob. Thanks.
Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it.
Bob,
And-
before you get started, this is
Yes.
Connie. I'm going to ask everyone to mute their microphones, please, so you don't get feedback.
Okay, great. I need to start out with an apology to Terry and Kevin that after my presentation, I have to leave tonight at the university. For those folks that aren't aware of this type of thing, the last of winter term is online for everything. Like most universities, spring term is going to be online. I anticipate summer to be online, and some of us are getting training right now on how to teach online. So it's kind of a busy time. But risk management. One of the major reasons of many, many reasons that we need to look at risk management is because we're all decision makers. And there's a reality on decision making nowadays, and that is, in order to be really effective in making decisions, we have to make decisions with limited information. And when we have limited information, we have risk. And with risk, it makes it more challenging to make really good decisions. And so consequently, when we look at it, in many people, when I talk to them about Rotary and risk, they say, well, you know, are we really at risk? I mean, it's a club. We know we're at risk in our businesses, but, you know, what are we at risk at? And the reality is that we have a lot of risks. Some of them are kind of significant for us. We have things like financial risk. Every time we do business, we have a treasurer. We have small clubs, and we trust that our treasurer will always follow the four-way test. But we don't have the size in the organization to put in the internal controls. So is it possible that we could see embezzlement? Yep. And we look at that, and how do we avoid that problem? Right now, we're all suffering with this whole COVID-19 issue. A disaster that struck us that, quite honestly, in most cases, we wouldn't really have had to think much about that. But it's something that's come up that was beyond our control. Natural disasters, tornadoes. We're entering tornado season now, and you're having events outside. Okay. What is the risk factor there? Man-made disasters. We had before I retired, we had a program in an industrial park for folks with developmental disabilities, and there was a railroad track that went right not too far beyond that, and it carried things like ammonia. Did we have a risk that we had to take into account? You bet. We need to look at things like brand risk. When we do something, what kind of bad press, when we make a mistake, what kind of bad press can we get? The court of public opinion. You know, there's so many times when I talk to students about ethics, you know, it's not necessarily that you actually did something wrong, it's the perception. And that's where public opinion comes in. We all risk, or many of us risk in Rotary, the whole personal injury issue. Many of us run golf outings. In golf outings, what are some of the risks that we have? Someone drinking too much, bad weather, people getting injured. We had a zombie run a few years ago, and we decided to have it at a golf course because we didn't want to worry about the streets. Well, what are some of the things that we could run into there? Heart attack, people overheating. How do we hydrate with people? Someone that trips on something, steps in a gopher hole, and the list goes on and on and on, where we're vulnerable. We have to worry about theft of property, property damage. Dee will tell you a story. She told it last night about Shepherd in a fundraiser that they had where they had to borrow a cow. And whoever would have thought that the cow, after having done it for so many years, would actually escape and get killed. It was a risk that they had. So the list can go on and on personally on things that we're exposed to. The problem is that many places don't conduct a risk assessment. They don't ask the question that I think is so paramount when we do something, because we're all good planners. And we come up with a plan, but we need to ask ourselves one question: what could possibly go wrong? And the reality is that if you don't ask the question, and if you don't plan for that, I've always been of the belief that something will go wrong. I'm rather over plan than not plan at all and have something go, everything come off, the wheels come off at some point in time. So clubs, I think all clubs probably do some form of a risk assessment on what they're doing, but it's, in many cases, it's not very formal. A simple risk assessment is, once you've come up with your plan, you've done your plan well, you start to asking that question: what could possibly go wrong? And identify the potential risk. And it's not just one person, it's a group of people trying to go through that. And when you get that list, I like to use a whiteboard and just throw stuff up there, and then look at prioritizing what the likelihood is and the severity of something going wrong. Now, there are going to be some things. When we ran our day program in the industrial park, we had an airport about a mile away. One of the risks that came up is a plane could crash. Well, that is a possibility, okay, but it's a fairly remote possibility. It was a very small rural airport, didn't have a lot of business, no big planes coming in. Is it one that we want to put a lot of resources into right now, when a derailment of an ammonia car really was a threat that was a potential real threat to us? So we have to look at the likelihood of something happening and the severity of it. Once we look at those and we prioritize them, we come into contingency planning. You've got a good plan, okay, but if something does go wrong, what are you going to do? The last thing we want to do is wait until something happens and then try and figure out what we're going to do. And there are lots of things that happen. Okay. Ask yourself a question with the plan. What if the environment changes? i.e., you got an internal and external environment. On the internal environment, what if some of your key leaders leave before the project is over? How are you going to deal with that? Okay. What if the assumptions on what was going to happen with the economy are wrong? In business, we do that all the time. We're constantly looking at the economy and the external environment, seeing how that changes, because it always changes. What if the assumptions we made were just totally off the wall? And we come up with plans for that. One of the other things that I highly recommend is that after every event, you take the time to debrief the event. What went well? What didn't go so good? How would we change it in the future? Review your crisis plan, your risk assessment on an annual basis at least. And while I know that a lot of planning is done just kind of informally, I was taught a long time ago: document, document, document. If it's not in writing, it just doesn't exist. And those are that's a simple way of going through and trying to do a risk assessment. You're trying to mitigate that potential risk out there. And it brings me to insurance. You all have insurance. It's provided by RI. You pay for it, but it's provided by RI. It is important for you to become familiar, particularly you leaders coming in, with the insurance documents. What's covered? You've got, Peggy gave a presentation last night. What's covered in that policy? What's not covered in the policy? Things like fireworks. You need to get supplemental insurance if you're going to have fireworks. So there are a variety of things. What Shepard found out with the cow is the policy didn't insure a cow. And that was a very difficult thing in that club at that time. So we need to look at those. We need to, I highly recommend that you've got Peggy as a resource. You have other folks, almost every club has an insurance person, at least one insurance person in their club, and really talk with that person. Gallagher Insight, go to their website. My PowerPoints have that information on it. It's insight.ajg.com. There's a username for you. Your username is rotary@ajg.com. And your password is all lowercase, Rotarian with the number 1. Go on there and see what's going on. You can contact Gallagher by email, okay? And you can phone them or you can phone Rotary. And lastly, okay, take advantage of RI support service. RI has wonderful support services. They're there to serve you and help you with this. Consult with your own insurance professional. It's a crucial part of the risk management. It doesn't replace everything else, but it is a crucial part of helping with risk management. And as I said, please conduct a risk assessment and plan for any contingencies that are going on. You're doing awesome work. Those of you that are president now are going to become president, and other district leaders. It's a great experience, and I thank you very much. And that's what I have for you tonight. Thanks, Connie.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. Any questions for Bob? Any situations that you have run into the past that maybe he can give some guidance?
Well, I have a question or an observation, and I don't know how much of an issue it is, but it should be something we always think about. And I think much of the way that risk has been discussed relative to liability has to do with financial liability to Rotarians. And I've sat on the Institutional Review Board for the Protection of Human Subjects at my university for a long time, and we see risk very differently. We see risk as doing potential harm and then looking at a cost-benefit analysis, whether the harm it outweighs the possible benefit or vice versa. And so that's another aspect of risk that I think we still need to consider when we're deciding what kinds of activities we're going to be engaging in and what kinds of agencies we want to support and all of that. There needs to be a cost-benefit analysis, and that's just a different kind of risk analysis. So I wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Bob, maybe you can talk a little bit on how to deal with a situation that arises quickly. Let's say something goes sideways, and is there certain do's and don'ts in terms of how you handle a media, or if someone comes up, let's say you're having a chicken barbecue as an example, and something goes haywire, and not sure what my question is, but should there always be a point person that handles all the communications for the club versus having whoever's working on the project just start spewing off information that kind of turns around to bite them in the hind end later on?
Well, it's great. It's a great question, Jeff. There are different schools of thought. The predominant one and one that I always, recommend is you have a point person. You have someone that is going to be the voice of the organization. And I say that not to put other people down, but what you're trying to do in these situations is trying to get a single message out that represents the organization and not let it be confusing. And who that point person is, it might be different in different events that you have. Generally, you know, you want that, in general, we want the president of the club to be our point person. You know, for our club, Tara is the person that should be out front, in my estimation, and she has been. But I think it's very important that we have one person that we're going to make sure is going to be the voice of the organization. And again, it's not against anyone else in the organization. We're just trying to send out a single message.
Very good. Thank you.
I have a second question, Bob. Well, it's my first question, but it's the next question. Should that point person also be someone who's covered under more of the board umbrella with liability insurance in case something is said or taken the wrong way?
Oh, we want, you know, we have directors and officers insurance. That's part of
Right.
the RI insurance. We want to make sure, you know, I wouldn't sit on a board if they didn't have
Right.
directors and officers insurance. But yes, that person is speaking for the organization. That being said, and we should make sure they're insured for that. That being said, I always recommend that if you're going to be in an organization and be a responsible person in an organization, that you talk to your insurance exec about getting an umbrella coverage for yourself. Cindy and I have always had, because we sit on so many boards, you know, we always have that type of insurance that we pay for ourselves just to protect us, because we can get sued individually.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Bob? Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll
Thanks,
talk a
Vivian.
little bit later. We will talk about our club and support people too. So that make sure everybody gets that. So thanks a lot, Bob. We appreciate you doing
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Yep.
Tara, I think
My
you're
turn?
on.
All right. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen with everyone so we can just walk through this and make it as easy as possible. So hopefully everyone can see Rotary.org now up on your screen.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Yes.
you. Just someone say yes. All right. So I'm going to be walking you through on how to enter your goals into Club Central, and just to pick out a couple things on the website that I feel are very, very helpful for you. So the first thing, when you go to Rotary.org, you want to go to My Rotary. And we need to make sure that everyone has their own login. So I'm already logged in, so I'm just going to sign out just so you can see the screen. And so when you sign in, you can create your account if you haven't already. And I of course, like to save everything on my keychain, which keeps all your passwords safe and secure for you, so I never have to remember what my crazy password is. And go ahead and sign in. From there, you can see in the member center that you're going to have a lot of areas that you can use. Oops, sorry. The one that we're going to concentrate on today, of course, is your Rotary Club Central, but you'll see that you can look at the brand center right below it. I would really recommend using the brand center for any flyers that you need to create, posters. You can get all of your Rotary logos on here, the polio logo and different types of logos for the foundation. And then they have ready to go brochures that you can just pop in your own club's information and use and print at your local print shop. So it takes a lot of that design element out of it that sometimes is hard to do, and they have it all set for you. So when we go into Club Central, it's going to pull you up right at your dashboard. So in your dashboard, it's really nice. It'll pull up your club first. But if you look up top here, and hopefully you can see my pointer, you can actually break it down globally by your zone, by your district, and by your club group. when you're setting your goals and when you're looking at and thinking about all the things that you'd like to accomplish this upcoming year, I would really recommend looking back at your club's history. So this information is pulled from Rotary International. So this part of it that you're seeing right now is not pulled specifically from your club. That's what your club reports to International. So that's always going to be in there. So it's really nice. So I can see that my club in Bay City in 2015, we had 91 members, and now this year we are at 81 members. So it just helps you when you're thinking about, especially your membership goal. Of course, Rotary International always recommends that you at least gain hopefully 5 members, but you always want to look to see what your trends are. And if you scroll down, we even can see our age trends, and we have been pretty consistent, but you can see we gained one that was under 29, which was always great. And then we're really trying to grow this 40 to 49, and we gained one this year so far. All right, so then on your left-hand side, we're gonna go into Goal Center. And you'll see, you wanna make sure you're on the right year. So right now, we're in 19 to 20 because that's the current year that we're in. But when you set your goals, you wanna make sure that you're clicking on 2020 to 2021. So I'm just gonna keep showing you at my goal area though. So what you want to do is you're going to hit the edit button, and it's going to show all of the possible goals that you can enter. You don't have to enter each goal. There are certain ones that you have to do, and that would be your club membership and then your giving. So foundation giving and polio giving. So you can see last year at the time when I entered my goals, we were at 88 members. So my goal was 93, and I'm currently at 80. Service participation, this links up into your service activities, which I'll show you in a moment.
Tara,
Yep.
just a second. Can you go back and show them the edit button, please? Where
The edit button.
oh, there it is right there. Yep. Mhm.
Yep.
That's
And
what-
that,
You want to hit that first before, because otherwise you won't be able to change anything or
Correct.
input anything. So
correct. Yep. And as you go through the year, what I've been doing is I pop on probably every month and just edit anything I possibly can. It makes it a lot easier. So on June 30th, when your year is ending, you're not rushing to enter all of these items in. So your new member sponsorship would reflect your club membership goal. So if you wanted to add 5 members, you would have 5 new member sponsorships. There's goals for district conference attendance, which we all know we're not going to make that goal this year because unless we do online for the district conference too. And then district training participation, and that would be your secretary, your president-elect, if they do the training, your president nominee doing training. And so what you want to do is you're going to go through each of these tabs individually. So we want to save that. And then we can go to our Rotary Foundation Giving. You'll want to click edit, and then you edit right here. And you always want to make sure you click to this green box that says select goal. So you can see with major gifts, I didn't do this goal, but I highly encourage everyone to try it. All you would do is you click that set goal, you would enter your goal value in, and then you'd go back up top and click save. Click that though. Now your annual fund and your Polio Plus contributions are also pulled from International. So you don't have to worry about updating this part of it. This is pulled, the achievement is pulled from RI for you. So for us this year, our goal is that every member gives $100 to the annual fund, and then every member was going to give $40 to the Polio Plus fund. But we went with the goal that they set to have an event on World Polio Day, so we did very well with our goal, so we almost doubled it. So you want to click save. And so you're going to go through each of these individually. Young leaders, public image, Rotary citation, and you can see that we have achieved a couple things. We created a club membership committee, and we created a Polio Plus fundraising or event. And so there's lots of goals that you can go through. But I'm going to take you down now to service activities, because this is how your service goal is going to be populated. And so what I did is I went through the past goals that my club did. And so you can go back 1 year. And so I see that my past president had a goal of bell ringing for the Salvation Army, community grants in the fall, having a music concert, and giving out dictionaries and thesauruses. So when I went,
Tara,
yes.
a question for do those service projects, the names and categories, do they carry over into the next year, or do you have to enter them again?
Yes, you will have to enter all of your service projects individually, so they will not carry over. So when I was going in to add my service projects, I made sure that I included the bell ringing for the Salvation Army, because my club does that every year, so that counts as a service project. My club does the dictionary and thesaurus project every year, so that's an easy goal. So when you're coming up with your service projects, think of like anything that your club already does. And I'd put those in, because those count as a positive for your goals. So you want to keep encouraging, the good things that your club is already doing. One thing I would suggest though, is to do a little research on some of the logistics for your goals. I guess if you get to know me, I love goals, and I love working towards stuff. So I had all these great ideas when I came out of the training, because I heard about all these other clubs doing these cool things. And one thing was Global Hand Washing Day. Global Hand Washing Day is in October, and we were planning our polio event for November. So the two things were just a little too close together, so we couldn't do both of them at once. So looking back, just think about the logistics and how many bodies that you have to help you. But once I completed the project, and what I would do is you click on your service project, it's going to pull up this screen for you. You're going to enter your project title, a brief summary of the project, and then a start date and an end date. The start date is required, the end date is not, but give yourself a little flexibility for that. You always can change it if you need to. And so once it was complete, you just click on there. I clicked complete. And then down here, when I filled out my service project, I filled in all the projected areas. So I wanted a goal of 25 volunteers, and I wanted a goal of, actually at the time, I don't think I put in any volunteer hours, but this is what we achieved. We had 25 Rotarians that assisted at Tall Ships, and it was a total of 94 service hours. So when you're doing this, make sure you're calculating all the hours that Rotarians are spending on your projects. If there was any cash that was donated, we did not for this project. And then you can add in your categories. So if you look, there's community, international, vocational, young leaders, fundraiser, all this. So you just click on every category that relates to this project. Here you can add your partners. If you have a Rotaract club that is helping you with the project, or an Interact club, you could add that. And for this one, we put other, because it was a community event that brings in Tall Ships to our community every 3 years. And then once you fill all that out, you save it up here in the right-hand corner. And then that will move over to your completed projects when you do that. This one is a great one to show you. So we did a World Polio Spinathon. So we wanted to host an educational event for polio. We had a purple pinky table at our local YMCA, and then we encouraged people to hop on the spin bikes and spin in the name of polio to help us raise awareness. So my start date, I put it a month before World Polio Day, because we were advertising for the event in that time period. And then you can see that I was hoping that I would have 60 volunteers and 60 volunteer hours. And we would raise $5,000 at the event. And so this is what we actually achieved. We had 25 volunteers, and we had 37.5 volunteer hours. And at the event, we raised $5,302. And you can see the one of our partners, we invited the morning club to join us. Bay City has 2 clubs, so we invited them to come join us. And then our categories reached 4 categories because it's an international project. It's for polio community, and it was a fundraiser for this. So it doesn't have to, I would say it doesn't have to be exactly right on, just be honest with how your volunteers contributed for those certain projects, and you just do the best you can. And for our first event, it was really great. We plan on doing it again next year, just because it was a great way for us to talk to a lot of people who didn't even know that polio was still around. So if you look down here at your service summary, it's when you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll show you what you projected and what you have achieved. And so you can see that little flow chart at the bottom for you. And then now for our club, our annual golf outing, I'm sure with a lot of us right now, we're kind of just waiting to see when the governor allows us to go into groups of people again. So we might do our golf outing. We might have to get creative and come up with another service project, but I think that's okay. Everyone's being really flexible with everything right now in the community. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to show you was reports. When you're setting your goals for your annual fund and for your polio fund, I think it's really great that Rotary does these reports for you that are very easy to access. There are reports on members and engagement. So if you'd like to look at your club growth, your termination, anything like that, you can see that for your individual club. You can see it for the district as well. But I would like to concentrate on your Rotary Foundation giving. So what I like to look at is, I like to look at the Paul Harris Fellow and Benefactor Report. And this is really helpful for you to get an idea of points, and I'm sure someone else is going to cover this about all of your Paul Harris points and how that works for your club, and your club has your own individual points. But I thought this was great because, this is not the report I wanted to show you. Maybe it's this one. I apologize. So the report that I want to show you, what it shows you is who in your club is giving and who in your club is not giving. And that is going to be really important when you're setting your goals, because you will be able to talk to those individuals one-on-one. And so I'm not going to show you the whole report because there is some, information on here that's probably private to your club. But you'll see that it has your club member's name, their recognition amount, their current Paul Harris Fellowship level, and their latest contribution. And so you can go through this and see, we have a brand new member who only joined a month ago. So she's right here. So it can be an opportunity for you to think about starting to talk to them and seeing if your club wants to make the goal of 100% giving and different things like that. So these reports are really powerful, and I would really encourage you to look through these as you're setting up your financial goals. And then you can really just look through your dashboard, your goal center, and see all of this information. And hopefully everyone at the first night of pets got some good ideas just from sitting at the round tables of what other clubs are doing. So again, I just encourage you to keep up what your club is currently doing, but come up with some new ideas and try something new, and definitely find ways to get involved with your community. So is there any questions? I can stop my share and I can look at the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask me any questions about your goal setting. And you always can email me as well if you don't want to ask on here, but I'm happy to help.
It is possible, although I wouldn't expect Tara to have to do a lot of these. It is possible for her to help you while you're on your computer and she's on hers.
Yes.
I did that one time. It's not ideal, but we got through it. Except I kept encouraging her to put down goals higher than what she felt comfortable putting. So, but it is possible if you're really stuck. So,
Yes, I'd be happy to help.
does anybody have a question for Tara?
Yeah, I'm trying to put in my goals for this year, and there's nothing that's coming up. I don't know if you can help Tara with that or what have you, but I'm trying to.
Are you
Go
are
ahead.
you listed as the president-elect? Because I think that this might be a good question for a smaller club because I'm not sure, but I know that you have to be listed as your president-elect to start putting your goals in.
I would hope so, but you never know.
I double checked that.
He's the current president, so he should be able to get in anyway. But
I can do this year's, like I can edit mine for this year, but when I flip it to the next year for 2020, 2021, it won't let me do anything.
Yeah, I would check and make sure you're listed as president-elect as well,
Okay.
because that's probably what's stopping you.
Okay.
And then I have a question from Marty. Okay, you can edit your goals up to June 30th. So you want everything entered into Club Central by June 30th.
right, but after June 30th, and when you get into your actual year, Marty, you can still go back in and edit.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
And put things in. Tara had a great idea that as president, she goes in every month and inputs what they've done or kind of catches up on that. That's a great, I never did that. I wish I would have, because I was one of those people that last couple months of being president, I was trying to get everything put in. And sometimes I just had to guess at the volunteer hours because I couldn't remember how many people came to help at the food drive, that kind of thing. So, so it's a great idea to either write it down so you have it somewhere or to do it, every few weeks. That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. And just to add one more thing on those volunteer hours, your committee chairs or who's running that program for you, what I did this year was before they started the project, I let them know that we were tracking those hours so they could be much more diligent about keeping track of that for me. So it's one thing that you don't have to worry about. Have your committee chairs do that for you and report back right when the event is done so it's fresh in their minds.
If I could say, make a comment about entering goals about the June 30th date, don't wait until June 30th to enter your goals.
True.
Everyone around the world is entering them. So,
yeah. And we use those numbers too at the district level to help us doing our estimates on some directions to go too. So definitely, if you could get those in earlier, the better.
Mm-hmm. All right.
A couple of things Tara mentioned. She mentioned about the ideas that we talked about Thursday night at Pets, where you wrote them all out. You were in groups and you wrote them out on the big sheets of paper. I thought we had lost them, but Randy had taken a picture of them, of our sheets. I think we have 5 sheets or whatever, 3 sheets, and he posted that on. Is it the Facebook group for the president-elects or?
Yeah, for the president-elects,
Right,
the Facebook group.
Yep. So if you're not on that group, you want to get yourself into that group, and you'll find those there. But certainly, I would hope that you'd share ideas throughout the year. That's always good. In fact, I will tell you that when your club posts what they're doing on Facebook, just as the club, that gives other people ideas too of what they can do. So that's a good way to share. Mm-hmm. The other thing that Tara talked about was when she was in the foundation area, she talked about the Paul Harris Fellow and Paul Harris Society and benefactors and all that. We do have a person in the district who takes care of all of that, or who will come to your group and talk to you about it if you want to know more about it. And that's Eileen Jennings. Most of you are familiar with her, past district governor Eileen. She loves to talk about all of this. This is her area. She was the foundation chair for years and years before PDG Cheryl took it over. But she will. But also on, if you remember the calendar I gave everybody of dates for the year, one of the events we had on there was One Rotary Summit. And there was no date given there. It has, I think I just put to be determined. Chances are maybe we'll do that one by Zoom. We can do it any night of the week. It wouldn't have to be a Saturday football day. So we could use a different day to do One Rotary Summit and even divide that up. But the nice thing about that is it covers foundation, membership, and public image, and it gives you all the latest in that and gives you ideas, and you have a great opportunity to exchange ideas there. That's what's really nice about it. Most people go away with lots of great ideas for their clubs. So, okay, anything else? Anybody else have a question for Tara?
I have another question.
Yeah.
I was realizing that there's a connection between the idea of having a point person and the public image stuff. And I don't know whether that was talked about. I don't remember it being talked about in the public image thing, but it's been an issue, I think, in my club that you know, we have various different people involved on various different committees doing various different you know, publicity kind of stuff. And we have some people in the media. We have people who work in offices where that one of their jobs is to do promotion. And it's been a little bit difficult to coordinate because of all the media platforms. So some people have expertise in one and some people have in another, and some people are good at graphics and others aren't. And I've tried to get people to think about committing to a media committee. And it's been difficult to pull together. Is there precedent for that kind of thing that you could point me to where I could find out how people have implemented that?
I think that is a pretty, I would say that's a newer thing that some clubs are considering doing. I know my club personally, we just switched over to Club Runner. And so we had we were working out new formats with how we were doing our newsletters and how we were posting on Facebook and thinking about that. So if you can create a committee, I would really recommend doing that, because then you'd have a point person as your committee chair that you could go to, that all of those different media outlets or sources that you're trying to work with, your website, your social media, they all go to one person for you. So then you can have that one contact for your media outreach. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a thing where, like, for Second on Stage, we have on Weebly, we have a dedicated website just for that event. And then for our club, we have a Facebook presence for the club. And then, you know, there's also the Club Runner, but that doesn't get used as much. And then we have radio and television interview and things like that, Dave Opperman has been handling a lot of that, but he's getting older and he's needing to wind down a little bit. So, but there are other people. One of our members works at the Dow Event Center and does publicity.
I'm going to suggest
so people have their different areas, and having it go to, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. This is too long. Right?
Well, we have a couple more things, but I was going to suggest that DG Randy, that he get a hold of our zone person in public image, and I if nobody else, Liz Smith would be able to help you. I'm sure she could give you ideas of how to handle that, because he's right. I've seen them be interviewed on TV from his club. You know, if you get the Saginaw station, and I've also seen them in the newspaper and then on Facebook. So, so that is you guys do so many things in your community, and I understand why you would have different people who are out there giving interviews or writing articles. So that's something we probably should look into, because that's a good question. So, do you mind, Randy? Or I don't mean to pass it off.
Can Randy get me? No, can Randy get me in touch with Liz then?
Yeah, I'll work with you on that, Eric.
Okay, thanks, Randy.
Yeah.
Thank you. See how well I took care of that?
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Tara. Appreciate that. A big hand for you.
Yeah, really. Thank you, Tara. That was excellent.
Okay, now on to Kevin. What do you have for us, Kevin?
Thanks, Randy. Well, Dee has, or before pre-pet, she gave me a task. She gave me a title, per se. So this is my challenge to all president-elects and those of you who are taking any sort of leadership in your Rotary Club this year. I do want to start out by saying thank you to District 6310 for giving me this opportunity. I hope you all can hear me pretty well. I do like to speak, so I'm going to be probably a little bit animated during my speech, but this goes out to you guys, District 6310, and all the other districts within our PATs. I'm a little bummed that I didn't get to do this in front of all of you in Kalamazoo, but here it goes, and I'm really excited to present it to you guys, okay? So good evening, district governors, president-elects, and all other fellow Rotarians. The President-elect Training Seminar is winding down. In the next short while, we will all be logging off our devices, and we will find ourselves quarantined in the towns, cities, states, countries, provinces that we call home. Like many president-elects before us, we are a little nervous and a little excited all at the same time. Why? Because as of July 1, 2020, we will all carry the title of president. However, being the president of a Rotary Club is more than just upholding a title. With the label of president comes many responsibilities. First, you need to motivate your members. I have a dream that one day polio will be eradicated from the face of the earth. That is a powerful statement that motivates many of us each day to continue to serve as Rotarians and keeps us coming back for more day in and day out. As president, it is your job to do the same for your club in your community. What is it that is going to keep your club members coming back week after week, month after month, year after year? Whatever that thing may be, leave no doubts. Second, we need to lead. Whether your club consists of 8 members or 308 members, it is your responsibility to lead them. Essentially, you are the shepherd of the flock. That is a shout out to past district governor of District 6310, Dee Brock, and the Rotary Club of Shepherd. Where you go, be sure that your members are willing to follow. Change is good. Just be aware that some paths are bumpier than others, and some sheep may not be willing to go down the unbeaten path with you. As the leader of your club, it is important for you to listen to your members to ensure the final decision will not only fulfill our 4-way test, but ensure your members feel valued, inspired, and connected to each other. You also got to designate job duties. A Rotary president cannot accomplish anything on his or her own. It is important to designate job duties to your members. Don't hesitate to appoint committee chairs and service project leaders. For example, you cannot be in charge of Adopt a Highway, run a board meeting, organize the weekly meetings, recruit new members, plan the next service project, balance the financial sheets. That is too much for one person to handle. That is why we designate job duties. Designating job duties is essential to having a successful year as club president. There is a reason why we have positions available, such as treasurer, secretary, sergeant at arms. Designate them, don't overdo it. Next, you have to trust. The definition of trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Over the next year, you will fulfill your role as Rotary Club president, and you will be challenged at times. Not only will you be challenged, but you will also may be questioned about a decision or idea you may have. That being said, first, you have to trust yourself to handle the responsibilities of the position. Next, your members need to trust you as well. You are here for a reason. You were selected by your club to be their president. The trust is already there. It is up to you to follow through and show them that they have made a good decision. If you and your club firmly believe that, you will without a doubt have a successful year. Don't worry about making the right decision, but rather focus on the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Word to the wise, everyone listening should have that memorized by now. Finally, be yourself. I am a 27-year-old millennial from small town USA, Cassidy, Michigan. I currently drive an old car, and by old, I mean it was made in 1999. For my day job, I am a social worker at an elementary school. I've never been to Germany or Hawaii, nor have I ever applied the polio vaccination to the tongue of anyone who lives in a foreign country. I'm not a doctor or a lawyer, and I'm not financially well off. I didn't get my education from Harvard either. I am, however, a Rotarian. Granted, I have only been a Rotarian for less than 2 years, but nonetheless, I'm a Rotarian just like each and every one of you. This is who I am. This is who we are. We are Rotarians. If you have been there and done that, good. Embrace that. Utilize that experience to better your club this year. If you haven't been there or done it, that's okay too. Now is your chance to make an impact and show everyone who you really are. Lastly, being the president of a Rotary Club can be extremely rewarding in more ways than one. In my opinion, the greatest reward of being the president of a Rotary Club is how much you learn. Over the next 365 days, you are going to learn a lot. You will learn about yourself, learn about Rotary, learn about your members. 1 year ago, almost to the day, I was sitting here at the same president-elect training seminar thinking, what did I get myself into? I don't know if I'm ready for this. I was inexperienced but motivated to make a difference. Fast forward to today, this moment right now. I'm sitting in front of all of you, trying to teach you, trying to motivate you, hoping you'll learn something about what it's like to be the president of a Rotary Club before you actually do. You see, being the president is more than just a title. Being president is making connections. Don't forget, Rotary connects the world. This year, it will also open opportunities. Opportunities that may change your life forever. You see, being a president is an honor that not everyone gets to experience either. I have learned that over the past year, and hindsight is 2020. Ironically, the current year is also 2020. President-elects, let's get focused and make this year the best year the world. Okay, let's try that again. President-elects, let's get focused and make this year the best year of Rotary the world has ever seen.
Oh,
Thank
Kevin,
you.
that's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're clapping, right?
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Nice job. I appreciate that. I'm not
D, you're cutting out there.
sure if we can use that recording, or we'll have you record it again so that I can pass that on to the hear that. Uh-oh.
D, we couldn't hear you.
Okay, is that better?
Repeat.
Can you hear me now?
Yep,
Yes.
that's good.
That's better now? Okay, I love living up north. Okay. All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, anyway, thanks, Kevin, and we'll see about the recording and see about getting that on to the other president-elects who would have been at district, at PETS, rather. I have the last few things to say to you, and I know we're already up at 8 o'clock, so I'll hurry through this. And that is that leading your club actually has already begun. You have started your internship as president of your club. You've completed the training now. You've asked lots of questions, and we told you if you have more questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Randy, you can get a hold of Connie, you can get a hold of me. Please don't hesitate. Tara has offered to help you with anything on Rotary Club Central, so please take advantage of those. Take note of what your current president is doing now, and follow up with them. Ask them questions too. The President's Manual, I refer to it as the President's Manual. It's this book that you received at Pre-Pets. It's actually called Lead Your Club. That's your President's Manual. Please use it. Read through it. You don't have to read every single thing, but there are really some really good ideas in here, and some great tips that will help you throughout your year. I highly recommend that. Make use of that district directory. You will have your own district directory coming out. Randy hopes to have them ready by the time he the
Well,
time he
hopefully-
starts making visits. So, but you'll have your own. But if you have the old one, a lot of the people from the district haven't changed. We still have the same, well, except for the presidents, but a lot of the people in the committees are still the same. So feel free to, it's also on our district website though too.
I hope to have it out by July 1st for sure.
Oh, great, good, okay. But keep that handy. Remember I told you, I always get 3 or 4 of these and I keep them in different spots around where wherever I am, I have a district directory by me. So, but keep it handy, and also keep Connie's info handy, her email address, because she's very willing to answer, and what she doesn't know, she gets a hold of somebody who does. So, use the committee chairperson that you see in the district. Have Cheryl come to your club. Have Eileen. She'd love to come. November is foundation month, and that's a great time to have somebody come and talk to your club about foundation. You also have club and district report or support at the RI level, and if you need to get a hold of somebody, best to go through Randy, and he can get a hold of the person and get the answer for you, or he can give you the number for the club and support. But you will find on the very back page of the district directory, you'll find that there is a number there for club and district support. So, but Randy will have the number that takes you directly to the 2 people who are in charge of our area. So let's see here. I already mentioned what
Hey, Dee, you're breaking up again.
We'll be giving you more information on that. Does that come?
No, that didn't come through.
Usually in October. So, that better?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good.
Just repeat that last couple sentences.
To just make sure you go through any training that is available, that's put out there, any activity, take advantage of it, or get somebody from your club to go, so that your club at least gets that information. The Rotary Dispatch comes out on the 10th of, District Dispatch comes out on the 10th of every month. Please open up that email and read it. It's always filled with lots of information about our district and lots of ideas, lots of club news. So, so please make sure you look at that. And let's see. Make sure you know by December who will be the person who follows you, who will become your president-elect. Make sure they have the dates they need to know. They need to know when pre-pets is, when the pets in Kalamazoo. That's the one that's required. So if they tell you right off the bat that the whole month of March they'll be in Florida, then you want to look for somebody else to be the president-elect, because they really need to be at pets. That's the one training that is required by Rotary International in order for somebody to be a president. So, so please do that. But look to have your person who takes your place. Make sure you have them selected by December. You're in leadership positions. You've been in leadership positions before, I'm sure. So this isn't going to be anything new, except that it's all about Rotary. And so the more background we can give you on Rotary, the better. District leaders, just so you know, as district leaders, we're always looking at those people who kind of rise above, who are really good presidents, who communicate well, who are really into the Rotary thing. And we look at those people and we talk about them and we put them on this little list that we have that's called suspects, possible people who might be interested in becoming a district governor. So we keep an eye on that. And I'm really proud to say that several of the people who were presidents the year I was governor have gone into district leadership positions, either on committees or as Randy's going to be our governor. He was president the year I was governor. Last year, Michael was one of my presidents also. So we're looking at you to see what potential you have for working at the district. So, club presidents, you're the ones who are going to make your club successful. If you want to have a successful year, you do have to look at yourself. Kevin gave you some great ideas. Don't try to do it all yourself. Share the responsibilities. That's part of being a good leader too, is being able to designate the workload. So, and to ask for assistance. So please do that. Speaking of asking for assistance, when you get an email from Connie or from Randy, don't just ignore it. Please open that email, read it, and respond, even if it's just to say, I read it, thanks for the info, but whatever. It's just nice to know that you made that connection. And a lot of times the emails are giving you some kind of information or something you need, or there's something that the governor needs to know from you. So please, I would encourage you to respond to the emails that you're going to receive. Okay. I feel like I am at the end, like I always was at the end, when my seniors left me that last day in English literature, I would just say, man, I just don't know if I taught you enough. I just really, but so if you have any questions, I found out the other day, I can even still I give a lecture on Shakespeare if you want to hear that. So my granddaughter is reading Romeo and Juliet. So anyway, but please don't hesitate to ask for help if you need it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. We want you to be the best possible president for your club. That was the purpose of all of this training, was that you would be prepared to take over that position. So should you need any help from us or have any questions, let us know. Thank you. Back to you, DGE Randy.
Okay. Thank you, Dee. And let's everybody give Dee one more round of applause.
No need.
Thank you very much. Dee is one that puts her heart and soul into this. I know we're running over, but I just want to make just a couple of comments from Paul Harris. And Paul Harris says, whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it will be known by the results it achieves. So you are trained now to be president, and hopefully your club and you will go on to bigger and greater things. And just to finish up what Holger Knack had said in Kalamazoo, he said, have fun, make friends, and help where you are needed. So for that, I'm going to sign off, and I just want to say thank you for everything you do for Rotary.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Night. Thank you.